Hey everybody, welcome to the newest episode of Coffeetable Conversations. There hasn't been an episode in, probably just a month. And for this episode, it's going to be a little bit of a callback to an earlier episode, bringing back one of my favorite guests, but with then some, with two new guests, which is amazing. So, how about you guys introduce yourselves?
Oh, I am Dobrofsky, the brother of the director Spyder and the cinematographer and producer of the film as well.
Awesome.
And it's lovely to meet you, Bat.
So many hats.
Too many hats.
Yeah, and it's Greg over here. I'm one of the actors, and man, I had the awesome honor of working with these two legends that you see over there. I got to tell you, man, between Spyder and Dash, they juggle all the balls, but they do it so well.
Yeah, I mean,
Greg is in Australia. He's in Australia right now too. So
yeah, I mean, we're across the globe here. You know, I'm on the East Coast, they're on the West Coast, and Greg is just on another continent. So,
yeah, just casually.
So we're covering all bases here. I thoroughly enjoyed talking to Spyder the first time around, and plus I had known about him for a while, just through like Twitter interactions. And one big part of talking for the first time with any guests on Coffeetable Conversations is I want to check in on how you are doing, because that's a big theme of the podcast, you know, mental health and how you're doing personally. And after the kind of undertaking that you've, gone through, I think it's an important question.
Well, we're going absolutely crazy.
we're gonna probably check ourselves into an insane asylum after wrapping production.
Yes.
After working with Greg for 2 days, I
Just can't take it anymore.
Right?
checking myself into a facility.
Off the rock. You have to put your mental health aside to make a good movie.
That being said, I feel like the actual making of the movie is like the exact opposite of that. Like, I mean, I know
love that.
Greg with his fever, like even if we're doing crazy stuff together, and the only thing is we can't say too much about Greg's character because it's a secret, and we don't want to make it a big surprise. But we did some absolutely savage work together of just pushing the limits, and one of the reasons that Dash and I were so excited to work with Greg is that Greg is a fucking chameleon. He just transforms, which is like so rare to find, and so just blew us away, in every capacity, and it's just one of those guys who, I mean, I'd love to hear Greg speak on it of how he actually approaches acting and diving into characters, because it seems almost like you're gone method, at least just from watching. Is that you're so deep.
What kind of mindset do you have to be in? Like, kind of reminds me of like Heath Ledger or like Sean Penn or something like that. Just absolute madmen actors.
Yeah, man, we had a blast, man. I gotta tell you, like, I think first off, I gotta give kudos to Dash and Spyder, because you see, the big thing is, like, I've worked on a couple of productions, and I think the environment that you create on set creatively is everything, right? Setting the tone from the top down as the leaders and as the captains of the project is conducive towards getting the best out of your actors. So that was amazing for me, is that even before we started rolling, we got to catch up. Like, it all sort of started not only through the audition process, but through like picking the costumes. And it's very rare in the industry to have like a spirit of collaboration that I experienced from like Dash and Spyder. They're very open to it being a collaboration. It's not just like their story. Like they give so much rope to their cast members and creating an environment where it's all about the story at the end of the day. And like I think any actor, any creative, any writer, anybody would want to sign up for that when that is truly like the pillar of the project, right? When it comes down to making the best story possible, creating the right environment. And I was really blown away. I mean, I can't give any details away, but let me just say the set that they created for the scenes was just like insane. Like it's like the level of detail was unbelievable. And you know, at that point, you just add water, right? No acting required. It's like you are there in the environment, and I was.
Is it like the milkshake powder? You know, you just put in the powder and then you add water.
That's it. And let spontaneous combustion happen. It was so good.
Dash will, you know, he'll speak on it too, like just with the scenes that we shot with Greg, without giving away, like we really tried to actually build up a location so that we were actually there, so it didn't feel like a set or anything like that. And so we were actually in this really like god-awful place for a long amount of hours.
Puts you in like the mindset of the character too, even when not as the actor.
Just on crew, you're like,
ooh, I want to get out of here.
This shit is fucking crazy. On crew.
What do you think was the what do you think was the big motivation behind that? I mean, considering that so many movies nowadays are very green screen.
Well, I believe that the camera picks up everything, and therefore the audience picks up everything artificial. So we have a duty to make you and drop you into a world that you believe is real. And the only way to do that is by creating it, not through green screens, but although there have been good green screens used.
The best green screen movies usually actually have a lot of, I think, real, it's like a combo of practical mixed in with green screen.
Like something that kind of like brings you back to the real world kind of thing.
Yeah, we're like, or even like, you know, like I know like with Christopher Nolan's Interstellar, like the way that they shot like space, they actually had like Kip Thorne build out the space models and then put these giant TVs like in front, so that when they're looking through the window, they're not even looking at green screen, they're actually seeing the space and the stuff they're supposed to be looking at. Which is like an incredibly immersive. Now we don't have any spaceships in our movie, but
I'm so disappointed.
Maybe not.
I'm so disappointed.
Not yet. But you know, just like Dash was saying too, like there's something about like making something that's very real, that is the place that it's supposed to be. Obviously, there's elements that are still a set. There's cameras. There's, you know, things that aren't shot on film to create the feeling of the three-dimensional space, but by having that tangible feeling of something that's supposed to be, you know, represented in the film, like, oh, it's supposed to be this location, you know, like a church. By actually us shooting at a church, that church has all this history, has all this, you know, life and dents on the walls and things that you whether or not, like you said, is it the camera seeing it? Is it the actor seeing it, and then that camera seeing the actor see it? I don't know. It's just a perfect storm that makes something like...
Green screen puts too much pressure, I think, on the actor.
Yeah, maybe
to like make it feel real.
But you have to make it feel and like play the character and ground it into something real too. It's like a triple whammy, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because then,
but Greg will never be want to go where we took him, so he'll never do that. That wasn't too bad.
hey,
but yeah,
you never know.
What's great is like, I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but like, you know, for every sort of sequence, I mean, I feel like, you know, I feel like Down Below's got so many like set pieces throughout the film that I kind of love the approach you guys took, where you gave so much like love to every sort of sequence and set piece and location. Yeah, like, yeah, take me through that sort of thinking was amazing, because, you know, obviously the script was written, but for me it felt like you guys are so open in your process that it keeps on sort of evolving And then, you guys sort of build on inspiration from your team, but also from the location on the day. Like, it was pretty cool for me to hear and obviously see what you did with my stuff, but I can imagine, like, with all the other cast members as well, like, you really, like, colored in that world.
Yeah, what do you think, what do you think motivated that kind of process?
Well, it's funny because I remember when we started this film, Dash was like on the script, he was like, we have an obligation to shoot every single sentence of the script, including the description. So it might just say like a seedy strip club, blah, 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 or whatever, which is like we have on a location. It's like, now when it says that on a script and you're actually reading it and like getting lost in it, your imagination is like bringing that to life. So if you just simply have a shot of an exterior of some club, you have a B-roll shot of some dancer, and then you're in some scene that's like just in some back room that could be anywhere, that's not going to make you feel the same way that you were reading and kind of getting lost in the read. And so we went through probably the over extra mile of making every single little detail on film, which was a monstrous pain in the ass.
Like trying to figure out.
But all, like, imagine it's like when you read a great book and it's in your mind, the whole world. We have to create what was in our mind on screen. And when you see the shot of character in a room, it's an empty room and it's boring. So we're like, well, that the character wouldn't have. You have to really like.
Even if the acting is great, and even if the shot and the light's great, if it doesn't have that feeling of where it was supposed to be, like, oh, we're supposed to be in this remote, like, seaboard town where the film's taking place. Like, if we don't actually sell you on that, then all of the lines where someone is talking about this town or whatever, it just like people are saying stuff that doesn't actually match an audience experience of going through that.
So how's that approach impacted by the fact that you wrote this?
Well, that's where I think I have a great partner with Dash, because he gives some separation to it. Although I do think that a lot of stuff that I'm writing, I'm just kind of imagining it too. It's still somewhat of a blueprint,
Yeah, I think you write it and it's so colorful and fantastic. The script is so great, but then I'm like, damn. Why? Because you wrote this great line here, now we got to go out and get the team to get these props.
Yes.
Wardrobe.
Yeah. Well, we even brought Greg to the prop store with us for his character because like he was mentioning earlier, what Greg did in his audition was so fucking good that it was like that was the character. So I never knew what the character was supposed to be. I knew what it was supposed to, his role in the story, and I knew how he sounded on the page. But I had no idea, and I don't think we ever, with his character, ever had any plan of like what it could be. And then Greg's first instincts on it literally became the character, in which he then just mined out and everything. And so we took him to the prop store because it was like, let's let the fucking man who fucking came up with the character see what else kind of things he feels would fit.
It's like, Greg, you knew the character better than we did.
Yeah,
that's fascinating.
1,000.
I like
1,000%. That's what everyone. So Greg, finding the actor.
I think that makes me want to know, like, Greg, like, how did you get that? Like, when you read the script,
first off,
like,
thanks for that, guys. Like, send me an invoice. I'll send that commission your way. I appreciate that. No, I gotta tell you, man. Like, initially, I was saying to Spyder, like, initially I thought, like, it was when I got the sides, it was just one of those things, right? Like, sometimes you got to follow your instincts, and for actors and for everyone, really. Sometimes you got to take a swing, but sometimes you take a big swing and you miss. Other times you take a swing and it sort of takes it into a different direction. And I had initially, it's kind of like I had like a walk of shame the next morning where I was like doubting myself, like, wait a minute, did I actually just go over the top with that yesterday? And then it was amazing to just like hear back from Dash and Spyder, because they were like, that's exactly what they wanted. Someone to sort of take a little bit of a leap in crazy territory, you know, like in a different direction. So it was kind of fun to be able to have that freedom. And what was crazy for me is what we ended up shooting that will ultimately be in the movie, and where it started with the audition. Like, it was amazing how it sort of evolved, like I was saying in the beginning, right? It totally evolved. Like, the audition sequence, there were elements of it, but the guys took it to a whole nother level. It was amazing, right? So we go to the prop store, we get inspiration from some of the props, the specificity of some of the props then led to like an additional scene in the script. And then that ultimately evolved when we went to the set and started shooting, where, in the sequences between Spyder's character and myself, like, it was amazing. It was improv. I remember a moment, I don't know if you guys remember it, but it was sort of towards the end of the one evening, and we were just in sequence, like, between Spyder and Dash and the crew, and it was just like, for me, that's awesome. When you feel like there's just for me, it feels like jazz music inside, right? Where there's just like in sync. It's just in sync, right? It's just like this technical dance between the camera and the performers and everything in the environment. Mm-hmm. And like, I can honestly say, like, no BS, we reached sort of that state of synchronicity at one point, which was so beautiful, where afterwards everyone was just like, what in the hell just happened? You know, it was so great. Yeah. So fun.
Yeah, and on that too,
amen.
On that too, you know, it's so fun. It's like what Greg, like, when he created the character that we watched in the audition was so good that it basically made me rewrite the whole character.
Yeah.
And, like that was like the big thing, like where it was like, and I remember we were like, might have been like 5 days we were shooting Greg, and he's like, send me. I'm like, dude, I'm rewriting all of it. And it was like this thing where I can't imagine a movie now without the character that it became. But it was like, basically, it was an explosive shockwave that went through the film of Greg joining, because he escalated it to something that clearly now looking back was always there, but I just didn't see it at the time. And it like made
went on that big walk.
Yeah, it went on this big walk, and it ended up changing the ending, and all these things happened from basically Greg bringing to life the character in such an explosive way. I'm like, oh, I now finally see what this character is supposed to be.
You just needed an extra dose of madness.
Yeah. He brought this madness that's somehow like very fucking real and just
great.
It's fucking raw and
blew away. Honestly, the first frame of the audition. Like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
It's a testament, by the way, and I think what Greg was saying too, like, that if you fucking make an unbelievable fucking audition,
a leap of faith too.
Well, clearly he's telling us that the next day he was fucking like shit. I think, like, you actually can influence the entire movie, like literally the entire movie.
That's crazy.
No, it was like, oh.
I didn't see it as a leap. I was like, oh, this is just the guy.
No, but it is.
He's perfect.
But clearly, then we met Greg. He's nothing like that guy. Like, so grounded in it. It's like, I mean, that's why. I mean, Greg. Look at fucking Greg's career. He's a fucking special actor, you know. And you do so much stuff, man. But there you go. Like, I love the idea that you have to take a leap and trust that, like, yeah, maybe there's an element of fucking way more embarrassment if you were to go farther and fail. But that's actually where you explored something that you wouldn't have explored if you just, like, you know, did it like, oh, let me try to make this guy kind of real instead of like making him a character.
Yeah.
That was the big moment for the whole movie.
I really appreciate that, guys. And I mean, I think for all of us in this conversation today, like, for me, like, Down Below came at such a cool point in, you know, the whole trajectory of what's been happening in the industry, right? Like, we need to get back to what creativity is supposed to be. And
absolutely.
Like that, I don't even know how to, describe it other than, like, the fact that, you know, shooting this movie, like, reignited my passion for creativity to re-ask the question is, what is our job as creatives, right? Like, what is the process of creativity? Is it being open to inspiration? Is it sort of manipulating and forcing it? Is it being a remixer? Or is it like all of the above, right? Where you set out to be open to making the best project and to be humble enough to be able to pivot when something like presents itself, right? I mean, like, it's not every day that you hear a writer, director, producer, making changes for that, honestly, for the better of the project, not for an ego, not to like sort of force its way into a budget, like to like, really make the best project possible, where at the end of the day, like, to trust in creativity. And like, this is seriously a movie, and I can't wait to see the final product, but like, if anyone's ever trusted in the process, like all the way around, like every person part of the team and part of the story, like down below, is that project that like trusted in the process from the beginning. And again, like I say this all the time, like making any movie is a miracle. Just getting a movie made is an absolute miracle. That is
so true.
But right? But like to make a film where you're putting process first for everybody involved, and ultimately trusting that will lead to a magical outcome, like, it was so important for me personally at a deep level to be part of that again, right? To not just be part of a machine, to not just be part of another movie, but to be part of the process of creativity where people are like-minded, talented, willing to jump off the ledge, are there for each other. And like, it was amazing. Like, it was just, I wish everyone got to experience a dose of what the process of Down Below was. It was
Dude,
great.
I love that.
It was
when
man.
I love that. When do you think personally in the process you like got there, like where you were really feeling that?
For me or for the guys?
You first and then the guys.
Sure. I mean, it's sort of, for me, it was almost like it was like a build-up. It kept it was like a snowball effect from the beginning, right? Like, from the conversation, which was great. Like, I love the fact that, like, sort of straight off the bat after the audition, like, I had to get this real, like, one-on-one candid conversation with Spyder. I think, like, our first conversation was around about an hour. Like, it just, like, time just flew by, because we were just, like, we, again, without sounding like a broken record, like, we were ignited by the possibility of what this project and this story could be. And like, I started getting excited by the fact that I love it when a director, a writer, a producer, or any creative, like, brings it back to story, but like in a real way. Like, many people use that as a bumper sticker, as some bullshit tagline. But when people truly live by that, where it's all about the story, it's all about telling the best version of this story using every medium, right? Using the cinematography, using production design, using the props. Like, these guys live by that, and it was awesome. They didn't rush the process. They weren't trying to force a date or a timeline. They looked at all their options and like played their best cards. So for me, I probably got excited from the beginning, but I would say, like, my state of nirvana was for sure when we were shooting, because we hit this like sweet spot where, I don't know, like, for me, I love that feeling I get on the inside when it's like jazz music, right? Like, you're not forcing it. You have to be in the moment. You have to listen. You got to jam with your teammates. You got to jam with the other musicians. Like, if you go back into ego mode, like, you're gonna drop the ball. Then the music sounds like it's out of tune. But when you get back to, hey, we're in this together, we're on this tightrope, let's do this thing, let's see where it goes. And it was amazing. Like, even with Dash, like, he never, like, they never just cut the camera. They like kept it rolling, which was almost like this fun nudge to like keep going. Like, I love how Jack, I think it's like Matt Damon who does an impression of Jack Nicholson in the one interview where he's talking about Jack, like, told him, well, if you keep the camera rolling, that whole thing. And I was just like, these guys were doing that. They were keeping the camera rolling, and like all this magic started coming out. It was beautiful. So that was it for me.
It sounds like the overall theme of On Set is it's improv magic.
A lot of it, but also prepared. For me, it was a beautiful blend of both. I don't know how you guys feel, but I feel like they created the parameters, they created the structure. Obviously, it was a great script that was written, but then to have so much, for them to have so much trust in their people and the team that they brought to the table to say like, hey, if it makes sense and if it authentically checks out with what we've created and set out to do, then yes, we're all for it. And that was there. I think it was a blend of both.
I love that.
It's funny though, because you say, Meiji, you say improv magic, but like I also look at it and Greg didn't miss a damn line in the script. So it's almost like
it was like no improv.
Well, it's almost like the idea of improv is more like I look at it more like improvising, like how you are playing things instead of it just like changing lines. Versus like ad-libbing. Like, granted, there's some great ad-libs, but like the actual like an improv, like I would consider like we go down and we're supposed to do something and then we see something else in this location. It's like, let's incorporate that in.
Yes.
Incorporate that into the and all that stuff.
Kind of being like active on the scene.
Like, loose. Yeah, so it's being like loose to like what's really there and what's happening in the movie and it's basically exploring moments. Because I would almost say like, and again, it's just a word, but what Greg, what he's doing is far deeper than like improv. It's like he knows the character so well that then when we're adapting things for location or stuff or an idea, it's just like seamlessly bringing that into it, versus like
being ultra present in the
being
moment.
ultra present to the moment. I think is a better even term for it, but like
camera will just follow the energy of like some big moment that was not on the script. I'm like, well, that's just fucking great because you film that.
We love all of the words, and I honestly, we're not looking at any missed lines at all. So as much as it might thing, it was like it's scripted too. So it's
that is crazy, man.
It doesn't feel scripted though, but that's I think the beauty of an actor like Greg, is that it feels so organic and like such a tornado, and but again, that's a testament to Mr. Kriek over here. So
I really appreciate
this.
He's like an OG wizard actor. You don't find a lot of young guys who have the style
too,
have the style of like the what we like, the Jack Nicholsons and stuff, like versus a lot of the young actors.
That's why Greg is working so much.
That's why Greg
exactly. I was
big for us.
I was looking at all of like all of the stuff you've been in, Greg, and it was like, this man is crazy. He is I mean a lot of like awesome projects to be spoken of, and also just versatility.
I appreciate that, and I'm just like all of us, right? Like, I'm just freaking grateful to be working. I love the work, man. I truly do. Like, I feel it's like the highest level of teamwork. It's like making music every day. I mean, it's a miracle. Like, it takes a hell of a lot to sort of like make the choice to be in the industry, but when you do find a team of creatives that are not jaded, are really involved in the process, just want to do great work. I'm happy. So I've been grateful. Not every single project I've been on, but I've been very lucky for the most part to be involved in projects with people and teams that are truly about the work. And I mean, look at the cast that Dash and Spyder brought together for Down Below. I mean, like, I think the project, it's sort of creating such an atmosphere where top talent from all over the world are being drawn to this and have been part of it, and I'm so proud of them, man. Like, I mean, I think it's incredible what who they've brought to the table for this movie, and I think it's just testament towards their process, their talent, their work ethic, and the story that they created in this.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Greg. And Dash will say it too. This script, and Dash will say it too. Like, it just seemed to like attract people that were like, you know what I mean? And Dash and I have done, been at this Hollywood thing for like almost a decade now. Huh?
Yeah.
But this script had just the magic equation where like
for talent.
for talent, yeah, like where we would just get a read and then some like I'm in, like we're like wow,
we didn't even know the script doesn't even get read.
yeah, where it's just like people really connecting to, you know, every character, and you know, we have a little motto too, like, because even the like the smallest parts in the film, which even like when there's like 3 lines, I mean, we're fucking detailed. This character's this and this story.
Well, yeah, there are those small parts, just small actors.
Nope.
Exactly.
But there's actually in a good movie no small parts, because every single fucking line and moment and fucking prop and thing is literally
absolutely
a part of that same story.
Yeah,
So you can even deduce things to like someone's even like like it's like every single thing is like a stroke of a paintbrush, and if you like ignore whatever, who cares about that corner part of the painting, it's like the person takes in the whole painting and they're like, I don't like this painting. It's like, yeah, because you forgot to paint the fucking corners, you know. You forgot to care about the details. I mean, Dash and I even like, it's
everything
like,
is in
extra.
the movie.
We don't even like, we hand select every single fucking
all the extras were hand
body
selected, yeah.
Because it's not like oh, we just want a massive extras. Like, we want specific people who match exactly what, like, if it's supposed to be this, they need to feel like
all
this.
Don't want to be inauthentic.
We really believe in authenticity and realness, and especially like we also like you know, we have mostly traditional actors, but we also like real people, like grabbing real people who are actually real people with no interest in acting, and grabbing those people and putting them in certain parts for very specific parts where they're like, you cannot find that person, and they make, you know,
you can't find them in an audition.
You can't find some of those people because they're just so unapologetically themselves, and those people are just unique in parts too. So
yeah, absolutely.
It's a crazy process. I mean, maybe every movie, at least this movie, we had a very specific process.
But then we had great just great actors.
Yeah.
Great actors.
We got so lucky with, it does seem like a fucking miracle that we just Greg, and now Greg is a fucking homie of ours, but like, Greg, I remember Greg and I were like, when I was like, Greg, you're eating this Chocolate Quest bar. And that's when we were like, oh, these are my boys.
So good.
We're not giving you junk food, buddy. We got you protein bars.
That's it, man. Sign me up. I loved like the little moments we did get to like break away. It was awesome. You know what I mean? Like the whole process was just so good, man.
I love it.
Come up for air for a bit. You know? But yeah, I mean, I know we know Greg and we're all working together because we just had such a hoot, man. Like, it was good. It was kinetic and just, I mean, seriously, like it was.
I got euphoria.
The euphoria buzz after, like, it's indescribable.
You don't have
love it.
Yeah, not every shoot makes you act. You know, there's shoots that are unfun and the thing about making a movie is parts that are unfun, and then there are parts that you could be unfun because of how uncomfortable physically they'd be, and with the right people they're great, and then you can have amazing, like, oh, this is going to be an easy scene, and it just sucks and everyone's drained after. So it really depends on the people and the day and what you're doing. And, being a full movie is like has such a weird amount of like ups and downs and discipline to like, oh, let's continue on. Like, this isn't necessarily the most fun shoot here, but we need it for the movie, and so we gotta like now all kind of. But we didn't have that with Greg. Our shoots were actually pretty effortless. So
no, it was awesome. Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, and I love the fact that it was like a discussion for everyone. You know, it was awesome. I mean, even for the other crew that was there as well. Like, it was great. Like, everyone was involved in what are we actually shooting today and in this moment. And it's very rare, man. It's very rare to see that in Hollywood, for real.
I mean, going off of that and, like, you know, talking about the euphoria that you, like, felt making this movie, what do you think was the best or your favorite experience on set? This is a question for all of you.
Dash, man.
I have so many. You know what? Well, we had a great one where it was Spyder, me, and Eric Roberts jammed into the corner of a room, punched over with a little camera, and in that moment I was like, man, just as Spyder were making movies in the backyard when we were kids.
Yeah.
Now we're doing the exact same process here. With some of our icons in the industry, and it's nothing changes.
Yeah, it didn't change.
That gives me the euphoria knowing that making movies is the best part about it is making movies, not anything to do with any of the Hollywood stuff, but it's the actual making of cinema and loving seeing the other artists commit themselves in the same way.
Wow, you know, it's funny Dash said, and to hammer on that, like when we got to work with Eric, who we obviously watched, we were big Entourage fans, even seeing an Entourage, but it was just like us in the like, oh, he's like, the more we're like, oh, let's get every shot and make everything perfect, the more he's getting excited, and it's like, oh my god, like it's the same passion that we all share, which is like wanting to capture the story on film and like pushing and creating, all of us trying to like figure out how to get that Rubik's Cube to actually click, and then when it's like a great line and a perfect delivery and then the shot lands it and it's all happens at one, there's like this big like woohoo, like oh my gosh, where you would think a lot of people like want to get out of there, and then it's the opposite. Oh, let's do more, and you can't take them away from it, and everyone is just like big kids like wanting to play with their toys, that was a great discovery to realize that the people that we always wanted to work with were just like us and wanted to actually make movies, and that was the ultimate North Star for everyone. Like making movies, and that's it. The rest of it, who doesn't want to get paid? Who doesn't want to have their movie a success?
Like money,
and who doesn't want the movie to do well? But ultimately, when everyone believes in the film, the best part is actually making the film.
You want to know one more big euphoric moment? I think for Spyder and I especially is seeing, like, let's say we had Doug Jones, who plays a very different role than you traditionally think of Doug Jones, the big horror legend. When the first start speaking for the first time as I'm behind the camera, you can see right in that moment whether or not the casting decision was correct, and it is. Yeah. And that just brings euphoria. Same with Greg Kriek. The moment we start rolling and seeing his character come, we're like, yes, it works. It works. There is an element of risk with casting. Period. I don't care who you cast. Yeah. I don't care how experienced the actor. Because you want to know if they actually fit into the story. Yeah, the kind
of the thing of they can be a great actor but not fit the character.
Yeah, and it's not about their talent. It's about
us, honestly. Did we fail at all?
Yes.
Creative.
Did we? And you don't know truly until you're there and you're rolling the first shot and you're seeing the first lines all the way on the set and the thing. And it's just like
you have to go with it.
You're like, here comes our this guy going to become this character in the story, and then you just luckily we got blown away by everyone.
Yeah, it was.
That's the great.
It's like what you're saying, a leap of faith, and I mean it paid off, but like, you had to take that leap.
Yeah.
Love that.
You don't have Greg, do you have an accent, like a South African accent?
I do. I got many different ones.
Yeah, see, Greg is also, that's the other thing too, like, you can't also, like, when you're taking that leap too, you can't, which, may have been interesting of Greg, actually, us seeing him, like, his acting of that character before meeting him, but it's weird. No, it's like a weird thing where you're like, the person isn't necessarily the character.
Yeah.
And that's the, I think, where the leap really comes in if you're on the side that, Dash and I are on, which is like, I actually trust, one of the things I trust just as much as, someone's talent and their vibe and their feeling, their aura, is I actually really trust in the conversation that I have with them after they've shown me their talents. Like when Greg and I spoke on the phone and us actually talking about the material, that actually gives me I would say at least another 40% of information if they're actually right for it. Because if they truly have that like giddy, giggly obsession with the same things that I think are important of that character or story, that usually tells me that they're right for it. Versus if they're like, oh yeah, and it's like this and it's that, and you've made, I think it's gonna be like this. I'm like, well, that I don't agree with. If I hear someone's thing, I'm like, it's also understanding them on an intellectual level of what they think about the material can give you true insight if they're actually right, because a person can't betray their own like instincts of what they think something is. And it doesn't mean that we have the same idea. It's that when we're talking to each other, we're like, oh my gosh, if you do that, then I do this and this and this, and we're on the same idea of like, we're trying to make the same movie or genre or something.
Yeah.
Instead of resisting each other. And that always is, at least for me, I'd say, just been an equal North Star of like, was this person going to be good for it? Because it's like, yo, I just talked to Greg an hour about our story. Like we couldn't make that conversation. And that I think is at least for other, casting or directing, or like another really great insight is like
they've got to be like
actually sit with the actor
in on it.
They need to be in on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. It's amazing what was just said over there. I think that's gold. I mean, that you need to stick on a bumper sticker, because it's so true, right? Like, so many people are talented as actors, but for everyone involved, are they right for this story at this time? Beyond just their ability in their specific craft for that story, right? Like, are you getting the right sort of, I love the word alchemy, right? Like all the elements that come together to sort of transmute into something that's better than it ever could have been, and I think as leaders of the story, or sort of like custodians, like I would say that's what Dash and Spyder are. They're custodians of the story. Like their egos are checked at the door, right? Like they they're allowing the thing to be bigger than their egos, if that makes sense, which is rare, but isn't it amazing to see the best like cinema we've seen in the past few years when that's the approach, right? Where you guys are just doing the heavy lifting and sort of creating the environment, but allowing the story to sort of tell itself on every level, technically, creatively, performance-wise. So that to me would be my highlight, because I saw that happening, and it's sort of like, it's like drinking like a freaking, like some fresh OJ in the desert again, right? Like it's just like, dude, this tastes so freaking good,
Makes me want some
because
OJ, man.
exactly.
Great visual, man. That's a great visual of saying I want some orange juice now.
That's
I love
it,
that.
Man. Freshly squeezed, baby.
Now that could be like that could be on a car. Drink some OJ in the desert or whatever.
That's it.
There it is.
AJ, I think Greg, you gotta run. You gotta get going, don't you?
I do, sadly, guys. Yeah,
Okay.
Thanks so much, man. But
Thank you for coming.
Appreciate like the opportunity to talk about it, and yeah, man, I really think. Well, I know audiences are gonna be. Yeah, man, they're gonna buy into this as much as everyone put their heart, their love, and their soul into this. Like I can't wait to see how the audience is gonna respond.
Just based on how you've talked about it, how like spirited you are about it, I can already tell that this is a very special film, and that your performance is gonna be a standout.
Oh my gosh! I only wish this post was faster, just so people could see Greg.
No, but I'm super humbled and seriously like honored to be part of such an amazing family. Like it's a whole team. I can't wait to see what everyone brought to the table. And yeah, AJ, thanks for everything. Yeah, thanks for the conversation. I'm sure
anytime.
It's about.
My unbelievable pleasure.
I appreciate it, man. And Dash and Spyder, we'll have to connect when I'm back in your neck of the woods, man.
Yes. Enjoy Australia, boss.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. You got to watch out for those kangas.
I know.
Watch out for the kangaroos.
Later, bro.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Adios.
See ya.
Greg.
Greg
And then there was 3.
Greg is just that is a wonderful man.
Yeah, he really is. I mean, he's a special guy. Across the board.
Passionate guy.
The passion level, man.
Artist.
Well, that's the thing is, you know, he said it better than Dash and I ever could, but like just that level of passion makes us have so much more fun when the people there are also so passionate, instead of us feeling like, you know, we have people, their time, you know,
we have people there who are there for the money and the resume.
Yeah, and it changes everything about having people like who actually are there because they want to be, because, you know, set is also pushing. We're trying to push the limits, we're trying to explore, and we're not trying to get out of there as fast as we can. That's never.
Well, yeah, you're trying
should never be.
You're trying to make the best movie that you could possibly make right now.
And it takes sometimes like things to figure it out. Sometimes we take shots and Dash will speak. Sometimes there's like an angle and we're just like, I hate this angle. And it's like, yet it should work. And it's all right. We need to refocus for a second. This angle's not selling what Dash wants it to sell. And so, right? And
the location manager is like, oh, you have an hour left.
And then as an actor, or as the actors, right? If they're really passionate, they're like, oh, the reason they're resetting and trying to relight or relocate the cameras is because they want this to feel even more like the character, more not because they're like, come on, you're wasting our time. It's every element of the film production is designed to make the story translate as best as possible. So
Absolutely.
If you're working with passionate people, they're like, oh, this is gonna make everything I'm doing even better. And so it would make someone like Greg want to work, like give it even more, because like, oh my god, this angle that Dash is even more excited about is like, oh, that's just charging me up all over again to like, you know, bring it again.
Yeah, I mean, like, speaking of that, like the like running into problems on set and kind of working with it, what kind of creative solutions did you have to come up with, like, kind of on the spot?
Well, I think the bottom line, like the more broad answer to that question is if you truly know what the point is of this scene you're shooting in the story at large, you will reduce on set, right? You will reduce the line. You will cut away this angle. Like, what are we really here for? And that's really Spyder's job, moreover, to be like, all right, what we really need to get here is this, and then we'll work around that, because
kind
there
of
are
like
always problems.
Kind of like
set.
what's the spirit of the scene, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, to add on to Dash, you said it perfectly. Like, it's figuring out when you basically translate pages to film, the direct translation of things that you think should work usually don't. There's some sort of friction when you're actually trying to bring it to life, and all of a sudden you have two people standing and talking the way they did on the script works, but when you're watching them talking, you're like, this just feels like people are staged or something, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, no, it's like, and we can't have that, but the location also doesn't offer us that. And so usually it's almost like there will be a problem, and the problem no one will know exactly why there's a problem, but there's just this feeling that something's off.
Right. Like the hotel we were shooting at.
Yeah.
Right? Like, let's say, there's somehow the air conditioner turns on.
Yes.
Right? We're like, oh God, what do we do here? This isn't our air conditioner.
Yeah.
So then we're like, all right, well, now we have to let's shoot the MOS shots, which are the no audio shots. And then in that moment, we actually discover something new. We're like, oh my God, thank God that air conditioner went on, or we never would have noticed this. And that's happened quite a lot.
It's like
Basically,
a rabbit trail.
A high level of, being able
Improv.
to adapt or improv or adapt in the moment, because there's basically like another great one is like the light, we're supposed to be this and the light's not doing what it was supposed to do. And now this entire scene that was supposed to be set by a window no longer works. and you can basically go against the friction and shoot a shittier version of than what you were supposed to do because, well, it was supposed to be outside, even though the light sucks. Like, or it's like, okay, how can we last minute find a way to relocate this in here? I know that doesn't make any sense from that scene past. So we're constantly
right.
doing
It's
that.
almost like that motto: adapt or die.
Yeah.
If you can't adapt in the middle on set, you're dead. Your movie's dead, and you will be dead.
I think if you can't adapt, you really can't direct a movie.
Because nothing went
because
our
like
way.
No, nothing goes through. No, it doesn't.
because like
Nothing
people
goes
are
the
going to
way you
be
planned.
asking you questions, and if you just kind of freeze, well, you die.
Yeah.
Yeah. Things went our way, but not as we had planned in our mind before pre-production.
Things went our way because we adapted to them not going our way. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, kind
We
of
show up. it's
went the
supposed to
way.
be this.
It kind of went the way of
and
the
it's-
best version of the story, not the way you specifically wanted.
Especially AJ on some of our locations where we got like big set pieces and we were on a really really cool location, but it was costing a lot of money.
Yeah.
Where it's like
Or the budget.
we're getting money burning here. We can't just like come back here. Like it's going to cost a ton of money. And all of the planning we did in our when we visited and we mapped it out is not working. Something feels terrible, and it's like, okay, we're burning 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and it's like someone has to come up with something, or you just basically fall into despair and say, let's just make the shittier version of it.
And then your movie.
Yeah.
I
I think that's what makes your movie basically fail. And then if you're smart, you cut the stuff, but it's hard to cut stuff that was supposed to be good. Luckily, we didn't have to do that, but we made big game time decisions on the day.
I wonder if, like, other than the big studio movies with infinite money to just forever.
Now when they're on location.
Like when they're on location, I wonder if every movie has these sort of, and nothing goes how you planned it. Probably.
Just think about light. Think about how unpredictable the weather is. You're supposed to. We're gonna shoot big sunny. Come through the window. I mean, Dash and I, we grabbed some shots of this church we're shooting at. We went back inside to get some shots again. And the day we shot some of our big scenes there, we got the best lighting I think you could possibly get coming through these giant windows. Like, and when we were driving on the way in the morning, it was fog, and I told Dash, I was like, my entire plan of how to light this scene is based on light coming through this thing. That's why we scheduled it on this day for clear skies. And it's foggy, and we don't have the ability to light up a church of this size without some of this natural light. And then for whatever reason,
So when we got there, I think we shot. We reversed the order so that we could shoot some of the shots where you didn't need that window light.
And then when the sun just came out of this part of the skies, we were flipped. Go! We're shooting. We're shooting. And when we redid it the other day, it was like sunny, and it just didn't have the same effect on the day we shot. And I can't imagine our scene without that incredible sunlight that came through. But honestly, that's where we got.
It's improv. It's improv.
Yeah, it's improv. It is improv. It's true blue improv.
And like, speaking of that, like, what do you think was the biggest lesson that you learned with this movie? Both of you. I mean, because you have different roles. I'm curious what lessons you learned through this movie.
What'd you learn, Dash, about cinematography? I'd be curious.
Well, yeah, what I learned about cinematography here as my first film as a cinematographer is that I just believe that you have to have a true vision before you shoot of the story, and I have to take, like we've been talking about, a leap of faith. I have to take a leap of faith with what I believed, what I saw in my mind when I was reading the script here, and translate that into the lens. And then it's truly also having a trust in the director, who of course I trust, and a trust in the material and the actors that we've chosen and the set, and then letting go and also remaining very disciplined throughout the whole film to finish it, because there will be a lot of days, if you're doing a full film from start to finish, that you're gonna maybe start questioning your own instincts and questioning, like, is this working? Am I good enough? All the thoughts that cross everybody's mind and big when you're dealing with big high stakes. So you gotta just stay disciplined and focused, and also just have a lot of trust in your team. And then go big or go home.
Yeah, and his that's the great thing about Dash shooting is that he has a take on the story, and that comes through the lens, and it comes through in our dailies, and it's universal. And one of the things I love with when it comes to someone in being the cinematographer is that they also have a cohesive vision, so that every shot of this film that they shoot feels like it's the same film. Some people don't have that, and even though they can make a beautiful shot, every scene looks different. It looks like it's a different genre every scene. And Dash figured out what the language, the cinematic language of the movie was, and then has it tracked throughout the whole film, and yet still feel different and unique, and have but it has its own stamp that's universal throughout the entire film. And like you said too, what I loved is it doesn't need to be mine. Like, that's why he's running the camera, is that he has a way that complements what I'm trying to do with the story, and that allows, I feel like, exponentially more ideas to filter through, and all of a sudden this scene carries a different weight because he's bringing his unique perspective of the story to it through the lens.
To your perspective.
To my perspective, and then it basically makes the whole perspective exponentially more universally accessible by everyone.
Right.
Which is why we try to delegate the right roles to each thing, so that we continue and like you were here with Greg, when we find a great actor, I want them to bring their instincts to the film, and I'm more fine-tuning those instrument parts so it's it fits the exact story, but they're then bringing all of their life and their thoughts and their ideas on the story.
Kind of the important.
And then the more people who are bringing their own, and I'm just trying to whip it into a giant salad that still tastes good, where I'm not just putting chocolate chips into a barbecue chicken salad still, right? Someone does something, I'm like, that's cool, but that doesn't fit into this, feeling that we have.
Yeah.
What did you learn as a director of your feature you've done? You've written for the silver screen.
What did I learn?
This is your directorial feature debut.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal.
So good.
He learned nothing. He learned so much that
I learned that I guess I always understood. I actually learned that working with actors is a lot easier if you just choose the right person for the part, and that I was always I need to direct actors, and I figured out that if I cast the right person, I don't need to do anything at all. And it sounds weird, but it's with the right, if I can cast them correctly, their instincts are so good for the part that all I'm doing is simply focusing on shaping the right line. This line's gonna be really important for a big epic beat. And then it takes away a lot of the thoughts and worries, and I can focus on the story. And so it's kind of figuring out how to choose the right people who know their position so well that I'm simply observing and making micro tweaks so that I can micro tweak everything to kind of all make it work, instead of carrying such a large torch.
I think it's good, almost like the invisible director.
Yeah.
But in a way that where everyone's actually doing what you want them to do.
Yeah.
Because you're not interfering.
They're better at what they're doing than I am.
Correct. And you directing this debunked what I thought of directing was always the director comes in, now I want you to say this here, and I want you to do this here. It's that did not happen in a good way. That's
that's basically
puppeteering
versus
directing. You're right. All you're thinking about is the story. And I think that's what makes a good film, not a good director. A good film.
Yeah.
The director should be invisible in a good film.
It's really caring most importantly about the film and the story at large, and just making sure that we're all on the same page of somehow every talent that everyone has is somehow fits the exact genre that we're trying to do, and that nobody falls too much in and creates too much contrast, or like sitcom acting into right, like or some prop becomes the star of a scene because it's so good.
Such a big prop.
So, Invisible, me including the cinematography, including the acting,
kind of
everything but the story invisible.
Kind of like the idea that you're doing your job so well that people won't realize the movie was directed.
Yes.
Which is the great, like, in all your favorite films, I'm never thinking, oh, what a great directing in that scene. I'm just looking at, like, what a great plot twist. Or
And it's to make the star of the film should be the story, where you're like, what a great
Yeah.
Because it's like when you're listening to like a piece of music, you know, you're not thinking, you know, this specific horn player is really good. It's like, this is all great.
If you are, then it's the whole rest of the band is not doing its job.
Yeah.
If something outshines, if a piece outshines the rest, and actually while there's a compliment that will come to that, an Oscar, but you as an audience member are taken out because that thing is better than the rest of the stuff.
I mean, like, talking about that, like, you know, all the pieces that come together to make the whole. What do you think were the biggest inspirations, like, visually for this movie? I mean, like, I saw that picture you posted on your story, with like all the crosses and everything, and that made me think of like Nightmare on Elm Street, whatever, because of like how the crosses played into that movie. So I was just wondering about what the inspirations were there.
What do you think were our biggest movie inspirations?
Because we don't really work on visual, like, we don't really have really just talking movie language.
We don't like visual palette, like we don't like vision board.
Oh yeah, I wasn't talking about like a vision board, but like
I know what you're saying. I think that because basically what Dash and I do is when we're working on a movie, we usually like hive on a bunch of. We watch like the same films a bunch of times.
Yeah, what did we watch in the beginning? A lot of all Tarkovsky's
films.
We watched
Shining.
All Kubrick's films, especially The Shining.
I feel like Shining and Eyes Wide Shut were probably some of the biggest.
Sacrifice. Tarkovsky because we were doing some outdoor shooting, and that was a masterfully shot.
Solaris too, outdoor stuff.
Solaris as well.
Yeah, I know you love Solaris.
That before.
Yeah. I love Solaris. I mean,
great stories. That is. You just have no idea what the whole movie is until the final frame.
I would say basically Stanley Kubrick and Tarkovsky probably were but not like Clockwork Orange and not like 2001. Even though I don't like Clockwork Orange that much. There's him, but and I like 2001. You don't like that much, but.
I don't know why. Interstellar was
there's something about, I think.
So like, I mean, you're saying the movie's not a sci-fi.
And I thought,
maybe
7 too.
7 as well.
David Fincher, I love that film. And Spyder.
He would a lot of 7, like, because it's, and then you basically trust that, like, I've done the right movies that kind of match our film a little bit, that it'll create some sort of, and then to Dash's skill set here, like, you then have of your favorite influences, and then be like, the hardest part, just like the actor taking the leap, is like, we have to create a style of our own that nobody's ever done, that is specifically for this film, so much so that when we're done with this film, we'll never be able to shoot with these lenses, with this feeling, with this type of camera movements and things, and like, it's a style that's perfect for Down Below, no one's ever done, and find any inspiration from anything specifically, yet maybe somehow you'd feel it, but it's still own style.
What we really studied, why do we feel these great feelings of like cinema magic when we're watching Kubrick, Tarkovsky, or David Fincher? And that's what we tried to replicate with our own style. And then you totally departed from the filmmakers you like, but you're just
still there somehow.
There's the movie magic is what
the movie magic, and they're the reason that you kind of making your movie, but your movie has to then have its own film language, which is sculpting in time.
Yeah,
Sculpting in
what did
time.
he say?
Or he says, "Oh, you're going the library of mediocrity."
Yes. He said, if you basically make your own mark with your story and your film, then your derivative nature of your film destroys what it means to truly be an artist.
You're a sinful.
Yeah, he's a hardcore guy, but we kind of also relate somewhat to the idea that like, if you're gonna at least write and direct your own film, it should have its own thing.
Definitely.
Going off of that,
our next movie starting it.
what?
Hardest part with Dash and I something like on our next movie, it's like, and now all of our tricks in this have to be.
Or they'll call us out and they'll say, "Ah."
It's like, wow. No, it's like, yeah, it's like, wow, like you have to start again with a completely different story and style, you know.
So you don't like fall into the same thing again and again.
We'd be taking it down below aesthetic and applying it to a different story, and it would be unfun too. I think the fun part is basically like figuring out what type of plots and things don't work.
Even in the middle of this movie, it was like, man, I gotta keep it fresh because I don't want them to realize that I did this sort of shot in 20 minutes into the movie. Now we're an hour and a half in.
Yeah.
Find out.
Yeah, having to keep everything fresh and yet also not alienate by going into too weird of an angle or style it doesn't really match.
Yeah. I mean, going off of that, like, having gone through this whole experience, what creative advice would you give to, directors, writers, producers, cinematographers out there who are trying to make their own thing?
Very simple advice, and it's make your own thing. Don't an agent, don't for a producer, don't wait for money to come. Whatever resources you have, make your movie. Or find a script or someone who wrote a script that you like and love. And you better love this before or you won't be able to finish it. So if you don't love the movie you're making, you're not going to have the passion to finish it or make it great. And if you're not making it great, there's really no point in making the film. So just make your movie, and that'll probably get you exactly where you want to go. Although it will be very, very hard and challenging on the soul.
Yes.
That's a warning, but it's worth it, I think.
I echo everything he says. Yeah, make your movie, and then also understand when you decide to make your movie, it's not that you have to love it, because there are some parts of dying.
You're signing up for hell.
Yeah, there's a level of hard nature because it's, again, you're also taking your path in your own hands. So, right, you're either sitting around waiting or you're going to go and you're going to make it. But if you're going to make it, just understand you have to have the discipline to finish it, and that may not be as you think.
Filmmaking is in a certain way, it's entrepreneurship. You are your own product.
Yep.
And therefore, you know what you're signing up for. Are you willing to do this? Like,
that's why I love the script, because the thing is,
love the product, love the script.
I don't think that we would have. Dash and I really we start stuff, guys. But if we didn't love the script on the level thing, I don't think we would have reached the end of this one.
No.
Because the process of making this movie was much longer, more brutal than I ever thought. And we made films before to get the actors and to get to what we wanted and to make it on this level of detail.
Dude,
Was insane. But we loved the story so much that no matter what, the love of the story never wavered. That's the crazy thing. No matter what point in time, I never once thought that what we were doing and the stuff we shot and the story was ever not the greatest we've ever done in our life. But the actual journey of going from pre to now was sickening.
Wouldn't wish it upon anyone.
It's my most mortal enemy.
That's the advice. Just go do it. Like, just don't wait, because the waiting and the free time and the wondering, is this gonna
That's the worst.
Is my dream gonna work out?
That's the worst.
You know what? Go find.
That's the worst.
Maybe you might end up hating making movies, and you'll be like, "Thank God I did this, because I actually don't like doing this."
Yeah, and by the way, there's great lessons to be learned right there. That you go and you make your movie and you don't like the making of the movie part, well then you just got the ultimate gift, because you shouldn't go and have a career of making movies, because the goal of success of making movies is you're going to be getting paid, but you're still going to have to make movies and sit in the editing bay all day, sit with the costume designer. Like, that's part of the movie making, is spending lots of your energy actually into creative world. When you go then you just learn a very valuable thing that's not, so for sure, make your movie.
And then also, before you make your movie, make sure you love the movie you're making.
Yeah, don't make a movie because it's you think it's an easier sell, because you have to make your movie still. All things that people say, all true.
It's true. I think to finish, I really want to ask you is, what should we expect from you in the future? And what can you tell us about the movie? What are you allowed to say?
I'll start with some of the stuff that was is we do know, let's put up what I can say, but I don't think it's been said on a podcast yet, is so we have Alexis Knapp is in the movie as the leading lady, and her character we now, I think, was made public, and she plays this troubled prostitute, Charisma, who also is a psychic, who can kind of communicate with ghosts. And so that's a first kind of character that we now have out on the internet. And as well as, Bai Ling is in the film.
Bai Ling.
Doug Jones. Eric Roberts. We have Hutch Dano is in it. Zeke and Luther's on Beavers. We got a great cast. I know they're working together in a big log line and stuff soon. So that'll be the next thing we're really excited, is to actually out for the world, so we can
Awesome.
start to share a little bit of the story. It's because it's my thing, and I know Dash's too, and I'm sure for you as well. I really want to have the experience of getting to dive in the same way that my favorite movies I kind of just watch, So I try to really carefully monitor anything that comes out, just because I don't want to ruin.
But there is the log line that's already out.
Yeah, the log line, and then also I think, which is really cool, and stuff that is so great to share, is some of these great rich experiences with the actors and the people on set, and getting to work with them, because that doesn't ruin the movie, and it kind of makes it pretty cool. But I love that thing you shared about Eric Roberts.
That was just a great moment for us. And what's next? Probably a vacation to Bora Bora Island.
I think no, but we were talking about. You were talking about.
But actually, yeah. What we really want to do is
it's one of my science fiction scripts. What we're discussing getting made next.
Sci-fi.
But it's a genre, not like cold science fiction.
Basically, it's not Alien.
what it is
it's
totally
a Kubrick. It's a
totally different than what we just did now.
Yeah, basically that it's to the exact thing. Same thing he was talking about. Like I think me and him now realize that on our next film we want to do something completely different that's challenging in a different way. So the passion is there. Like if we made a very similar film, I don't think we would.
Although they're forcing Spyder to do more already. Spyder doesn't want to. Don't tell anyone.
I love it.
2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We got 5 sequels.
The Down Below franchise, then the Down Below extended cinematic universe.
Directing the Down Below franchise. I'll be EP. Me and him will be EP.
Ghost producing.
Oh, this was a blast, AJ.
Great conversation.
I was very thankful to have you guys on, and I mean also just really glad to just push your movie that much out there.
It
means a lot.
We love talking to you about it. And so grateful for someone to talk for so long. It was a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a rare dude, man. We love, I told my brother and Kriek, this guy, this AJ is great, man. And, you have a really great energy on your podcast, man, that just makes it, like we're like coffee conversation, man.
Exactly. Just like make it casual, make it relaxing. It's easy listening on, ride to work in the morning. But also just getting amazing, brilliant people out there into people's radars. Getting people's like amazing artistic work out there. And just, pushing artists into the stratosphere as much as I can.
Great goal.
Amen. That's what we need on the internet,
that's
man.
awesome.
We need
Plus-
guys like you on the internet.
Plus, we need more community. That's the biggest thing I'm about. So I'm incredibly thankful.
Brother.
Glad to be a part of the community.
Send us over so we can blast it out too.
Will do. And if you had like just one thing to tell the audience, before we leave tonight, what would you tell them?
That don't before you go into a production.
That will second that.
Don't eat a big heavy meal before shoots because boy, you're about to get stressed.
Also, better be good at operating on minimal sleep.
Yeah. I think it's hard to sleep. It's hard to sleep the night before shoots. And fucking just go for it. Once you're
Go big. Don't.
Go big.
To the word, bitch out on your vision for what you believe your movie or story or short film can be. Just go big.
And cast and with what you want. We really set it precedent. Like we know there's going to be great legendary actors joining this film. It's the one, and we just until we had them in the film. That was it.
I love
So
it.
you really, there it is. That I want to leave you. Don't settle. Don't settle on your movie. Settle in your life. God bless you.
There you go.
Tonight.
Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful night and be good to yourselves.